Good evening and welcome. Thanks very much for tuning in to NDTV. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and on every story that matters, as always, the buck stops here. For Indians, yesterday brought a sense of deja vu, a replay of the horror we have seen very recently in Pahalgam. But this time, it was replayed at the Bondi Beach in Australia. The victims were again innocent civilians, marked on the basis of their religion and killed in cold blood. The perpetrators were again Islamic radicals who had decided that the targets deserved to die simply because of the faith they belonged to. The only difference was that while in the Baisaran valley in Pahalgam, it was Indian Hindus who were massacred, in Sydney on target were Australian Jews. At least 15 people were killed in cold blood by the father-son duo of Sajid and Naveed Akram while they celebrated the first day of Hanukkah. The youngest victim was only 10 years old. Armed with long-barreled guns, the attackers shot at people for at least 10 minutes, triggering panic and chaos. People were seen fleeing and hiding behind vehicles. When the firing finally stopped, the beach was littered with the dead and injured and the remnants of what was meant to be a day of celebration. But who were these two shooters? What was known about them? How did they get radicalized, and how did they stay completely off the radar of Australian intelligence even as they planned this rampage? It now emerges that 50-year-old Sajid had come to Australia in 1998 on a student visa, later converted to a partner visa in 2001. Since then, he had remained in the country on a resident return visa. Accompanying him in this massacre was his son, Naveed. Naveed is actually born and raised completely in Australia, an Australian citizen since 2001. Then what possible grounds could he have to turn on his fellow Australians in this fashion? What possible reason could be attributed to his radicalization and naked hate by the familiar terror apologists? Was he tormented? Was he discriminated against? What did Australia do to him? Why did he turn into a brainwashed killer? There are more questions than answers. But now comes the truly shocking part. In 2019, this young man, Naveed, had come to the attention of Australia's domestic intelligence agency, the ASIO. But after an investigation, authorities found no indication of any ongoing threat of him engaging in violence. That's right. They investigated him and thought that there isn't really any immediate threat, that he won't really engage in violence. Well, guess what? They were wrong. A 2019 mistake that has now come to haunt Australia in the worst way possible in 2025, triggering demands for accountability and a long, hard look at where Australia has gone very, very wrong in trying to be politically correct.
The son first came to attention in October 2019. He was examined on the basis of being associated with others, and the assessment was made that there was no indication of any ongoing threat or threat of him engaging in violence.
Yesterday were two people, and let's be clear here, it looks like radical militant Islam, who used guns to cut down people, innocent people, during a very significant religious festival, Hanukkah. And that's why I'm angry, that's why so many people are angry, because our political class has to wake up.
I realized when I saw a dead person, when other people start seeing a dead person, when everybody realized it's not a joke. This is like 7th of October. This is like Nova Festival in Israel. This is exactly that way. That's what people on the Nova Festival, young people came to have fun. That's what they have experienced. Exactly the same. The terrorists came and killed them. Then how people in Australia, I'm talking to all the people, you're ABC, I'm talking to all the people in Australia, you have to stand with Israel. You have to stand with Israel, because in Israel we have exactly the same values as in Australia. We value life. Those people value death. If you cover the people who value death, the death will come to Australia. In fact, I'm really sorry the death came to Australia. This is a Nova Festival massacre in Australia.
But the questions aren't just before Australia. These are questions that the world is now asking. In Europe, in India, the UK, even America. Is Islamic radicalization, lone wolf attacks, educated terrorists now the biggest threat before the world? And is the veil of silence, the shroud of political correctness around this threat ensuring that we set ourselves up for even more attacks, even more bloodletting in the not too distant future? Joining us on the show today, we have Charu Pragya from the BJP. Senior journalist Harshvardhan Tripathi will be joining us in just a bit. Vaibhav Singh, founder of Defensive Offense, and DO News will be joining us along with the Dr. Ghulam Rasool Dehlvi, Indo-Islamic scholar, Tariq Khan, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, and political analyst Abdul Razak Khan. But I want to actually start with you, Tariq Khan. You know, something that the Australian paper summed up beautifully. And I think in this raw headline lies a lot of anger, lies a lot of hurt, and lies betrayal, which is taking place across the world. Is it time to finally take the bull by the horns and call Islamic radicalism for what it is, the biggest threat to all of mankind? Whether it be the Dr. Umar of India, whether it be the people who carried out the massacre in Pahalgam, or whether it be this father-son duo from Bondi Beach, Australia.
Samajwadi Party condemned this terror act in strongest word, and Islamic world should also come forward and say that these type of terrorist activity should be stopped, and there should be an action taken by the Islamic world, and there should be a message by the Islamic world that we have no correlation with these type of terrorist people who have this terrorist mind. Point number one. Point number two, Pakistan has remained a nursery for these type of terrorists. Okay, and this would be an opportunity for India to list Pakistan in that category, that Pakistan is a terrorist state. But we wasn't able to do that. That is the failure of the government or not. I'll leave it to your wisdom. But we all should condemn in the strongest word. And terrorist is terrorist. You can call it Islamic terrorism. But I'll remind you, in 2019, in New Zealand, 51 people were killed. That was, if this is Islamic terrorism, you should have a name for that terrorism also, because those people were killed in mosque. So what name you will give for that terrorism? Because particularly a religion, set of religion were killed in the mosque. So terrorism, I completely disagree with that you will give a name to the terrorism or correlate with any religion, because the people
it's funny you keep saying that this person was from Pakistan, it is Pakistan's problem.
Maybe.
The thing is that his 24-year-old son Tariq Khan was born and raised in Australia. The man was employed in Australia. He probably earned money off Australians. So explain to us, Vaibhav Singh, how possibly could a young man who wouldn't have ever been to Pakistan, who wouldn't have ever known that what's happening in Kashmir, because these are the reasons we're always given. Acha, Dr. Umar became a terrorist क्योंकि पहलगाम में कुछ हो गया. So and so became a terrorist क्योंकि उसका घर तोड़ दिया गया. So and so had a problem with Jai Shri Ram का नारा क्यों लग रहा है. What possible problem did this 24-year-old Naveed have staying in Australia? What was his grouse that turned him into an assassin?
You tell me, what was the problem of Osama bin Laden? He was son of a billionaire. What was the problem of Ayman al-Jawahiri? He was a doctor, practicing doctor in Egypt. What was the problem of so many terrorists who come from a very good, financial background? So it is not about, high school principal ka beta, some Fauji slapped a young man, 5 years ago, so he turned out to be a terrorist. These are all, excuses that all these people who provide cover fire to such ideology, especially the ideology of Ikhwanul Muslimin, Muslim Brotherhood, which is the intellectual backbone of terrorism all around the world. And they have got cadres who are sometimes journalists, sometimes professors, sometimes, people of academia, social workers, and all these people come out. The same fellow, the Australian guy you are talking about, he was, questioned by the Australian authorities in relation with ties with the Islamic State, ISIS. But police did not detain him. Why? Because police thought that, we don't have sufficient evidence right now. So all these, overground workers of Muslim Brotherhood, or, the people who come in, defending these guys, that, you are persecuting the minority community, you are intimidating, you are threatening their security, you are giving bad name to the community. All these things come out, people come on the street, start shouting with banners and posters and everything. So the institutions get intimidated in reverse by these guys. So there is this argument that, that financial background or lack of opportunities is some sort of can be a reason for somebody to become a terrorist is a nonsensical
But
argument.
Tariq Khan is saying, look, terror has got no religion. We condemn everything, everyone who resorts to violence. This kind of generalities should not be engaged in.
No, so I would like to ask Mr. Tariq Khan to name a few, Jewish terrorist organizations, to name a few Christian terrorist organizations, to name a few Buddhist terrorist organizations. Give me a name of any other terrorist organization that does not relate to some sort of Al-Shabaab, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Lashkar-e-Jangvi. What are the meaning? I would like to ask Mr. Tariq, what is the meaning of Lashkar-e-Taiba? What is the meaning of Jaish-e-Mohammed? What is the meaning of, Al-Shabaab? What is the meaning of all these terrorist organizations? Can you name? I'm sure Mr. Tariq Khan must be very well versed in Arabic.
What is the name of organization that killed 51 people in New Zealand? Do you know the name of that organization? Or you would like to correlate with some religion? Or you are asking me this question because I am a Muslim?
No, I'm not asking
I'm not able to understand.
Because
Simple.
I'm asking you.
Simple. No, listen to me.
Sure.
Listen. That people who follow Islam, they were being captured by this terrorist organization and they have been used. That is the sad part of being a Muslim. Every Muslim.
Then people like you should stop defending them. Then people like you should stop defending them. People like Imran Masood should stop saying that these are bhatke hue log. People like the great Hussain Dalwai should stop saying that it's only when you are victimized by the Indian state you turn into an extremist. You should stop making excuses, sir.
Ma'am, everything have to aspect. The person who saved many people's life was also a practicing Ahmad al-Ahmad, practicing Muslim. So you cannot say that the learning is unanimous everywhere. It's mainly about how you perceive it. People who became terrorists, they have perceived Islam in a different way. And
Ahmad al-Ahmad put his life on the line to rescue people.
All right. So Ahmad al-Ahmad put his life on the risk because he has seen the form of, Islamic radicalization that has ruined his country, Syria. He's a Muslim of Syrian origin. He has seen what, radicalized Islam can do. He has seen, Ahmad al-Ahmad recently got both his parents, get to Australia. Because that place is no more livable there.
You cannot have...
No, listen, Mr. Tariq, you were speaking, I was not interrupting. Now let me complete, please. You asked for, completing your argument, I agreed. Now let me complete. So Ahmad al-Ahmad knows what the Islamic radicalization has done to his country, how many millions of refugees are there right now. That's why, so many Afghans left Afghanistan because of that Islamic radicalization when it stooped in their country. So anybody who has seen that Islamic radicalization, they don't want to be a part of it. That is why you can't use Ahmad al-Ahmad to defend people, the very people who have ruined his own country.
And let me give you some data. This is from Fondapol. Do you know that 86.3% of the attacks, Abdul Razak Khan, these Islamist terror attacks actually happen in Muslim countries. It is poor Muslims who are also victims, which is why this needs to be called out. Which are these countries? 57,726 Islamist terror attacks have happened in Muslim countries. The number of deaths caused by Islamist terrorist attacks in Muslim countries is 222,236, which is 88.9% of the total number of murders they have done across the world. If today Europe is speaking out, if today UK is speaking out, if today even America is recognizing, sir, then it's high time, Abdul Razak Khan, that in India we recognize that this whole bhatka hua narrative is simply not going to work. If a newspaper in Australia can call a spade, it's time we got rid of our rose-tinted glasses.
Let us not first of all call it as Islamic radicalization, Padmaja ji. Very good evening to you. I would like to say that the Western countries need to work on their gun culture first. You know, this is a one-off incident which hasn't happened in the very recent past in the Australia. But I will give you certain facts like how you did. People lose lives because of the gun culture in the US, Canada, Australia and Europe. 2023 data, I am just bringing it to you. 13.7 deaths per 100,000 population happen in the US alone. That means 45,000 people lose lives because of the gun culture. Canada is like 2.26%, Australia is 1%, UK 0.25%, France 2.7%, Germany 0.9%, Spain 0.6%. I'm saying this is not alone. I'm saying the person who attacked Donald Trump was not a Muslim. The person who killed Charlie Kirk was not a Muslim. The former 4 presidents of the United States who lost lives, you know, the Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, John Kennedy, all these were not killed by Muslims. So the gun culture should be reworked in the US, Australia, UK, Germany, France. You know, it's as easy as taking a SIM card in the country here.
अब्दुल रज़ाक खान, इंडिया में कौन सा गन कल्चर था जिसको लेकर के डॉक्टर शाहीन, डॉक्टर उमर, डॉक्टर मुजम्मिल decided to buy arms? What was the ammonium nitrate culture in India, thanks to which they had got hundreds of kgs of ammonium nitrate stacked in their hostel, stacked in their car? I mean, you know, for an intelligent person, I have to say that this is a rather strange argument that you're even resorting to. The man pledged allegiance to Islamic State.
So,
Naveed did not say that I pledge allegiance to gun culture of America or of Australia. He pledged allegiance to the Islamic State.
Ma'am, give me just 1 minute last. Madam, अक्टूबर फेस्ट की जो बॉम्बिंग हुई थी, 15 पीपल मरे थे, 200 इंजर्ड हुए थे, दैट वाज नॉट कैरिड आउट बाय मुस्लिम्स. Christchurch bombing was not carried out by Muslims. LTTE, Sri Lanka, IRA, Ireland, G20, Hamburg attack, Easter bombing attack, Sri Lanka, Myanmar attacks. ये सब मुसलमानों ने तो नहीं किया था ना. See, there is a mentality which has to be fought. This is not about Islamic radicalization.
Okay, this is not about Islamic radicalization at all, Charu Pragya. There should not be any broad stroke generalization, and most of this generalization happens thanks to politics.
Padmaja, good evening. And I firmly believe that if you want to solve the problem of Islamic radicalization, of terrorism in this country, in the world rather, you need to call it out for what it is. You cannot be pussyfooting around the issue, refusing to call it by its name, calling it what it is, Islamic extremism, terrorism, and then expect to solve it. So if you don't want to identify it, rest assured you're not going to be solving it. Look at how the entire thought process, look at how the entire ideology percolates generation to generation. This was a father and son duo, living in a comfortable Western country, Australia, with all the benefits that country can offer them. The father had a particular ideology, but it was passed on to the son. So it's, this entire narrative that it's the thing that the garib, bichare, akele and the unpad do, that's been busted time and time again. And it's quite sad that it's got up again and again. This person was none. He was none of the above. He lived a comfortable, fantastic, cushioned life. And yet this is what he chose to do. Global jihad cannot remain local because this is an ideology which ties people together across continents. It cannot remain local, especially when terror is ideologically nurtured, operationally tolerated, and then diplomatically denied, which is what Pakistan has been doing, which a lot of the countries in the West have also been doing.
Dr. Delvi, the political pussyfooting around this very critical issue, very often we are seeing analysis now saying Europe has fallen when it comes to radical Islam, political Islam. Europe is the #1 victim right now, and the after effects of this are being seen in America. It is being seen now in Australia as well. Anthony Albanese, when he was asked about whether the intelligence agencies had messed up, actually said that, we are examining everything. We are looking at radical Islam. We are looking at right-wing terrorism. This apologia, which still persists, is that a bigger threat than the radicalism itself?
Wonderful question. In fact, I must say with absolute moral clarity, without ambiguity, that world intelligence agencies, as I have lived in America and Europe, in different parts of Europe, have failed to recognize the root cause of radical Islam. In order to answer your question, let me ask very unequivocally, clearly, categorically, who killed Imam Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad? Was it Jews, Christians, Hindus? It was Muslims. Who killed Imam Ali, the fourth caliph of Islam and the dearest and nearest friend of the Prophet? Who killed children of the Prophet and their daughters who fled to Iran, the then Iran and Afghanistan, and finally in India, who took shelter and refuge in India? India protected the children of Prophet, the daughters of Prophet in times of Raja Dahir. And as a result, who were the Arabs who came to invade India? In fact, they came to attack and torture the daughters and children of the Prophet, who massacred in Karbala. It was actually radical Islam. Islam, right in the beginning, was hijacked by extremists, terrorists, who killed their own Prophet children. That mindset, which is an absolutist, which is dehumanizing, which is totalitarian, which is anti-Semitist, that mindset has to be rooted out. But the people of that mindset have driven out not only Jews, Christians, and non-Muslims, but also the children and family members of the Prophet out of
and the moderates and the moderate Muslims. They are the first victims.
Exactly.
If you today sit here, you will be the target number one, not the so-called infidels, Mr. Razak. It will be the moderate Muslim, the reasonable person who will call this out, who will be first targeted.
King Ashoka killed his own brothers. Padmajaji, even King Ashoka killed his own brothers. Even Lord Krishna killed people during wars. So let us not get into history where what happened, why and when.
Are you likening Ashoka's killing?
This is not the only problem.
His brother with Yazidis who killed Imam Hussein and the
18,000 children under the age of 10 lost their lives in Gaza only because of the political Israeli war.
Are you justifying?
Are we speaking about it?
You justifying
we are worried about the 15 people who lost lives today
in Karbala?
By saying this, I'm not justifying what happened today.
Who killed them?
I do condemn what happened in Australia.
Was it Hindus?
But I'm saying, let us not
killed Imam Hussein?
You know, the Holy Prophet, Imam and everything.
Tell me one thing.
Every
Who killed Imam
religion
Hussein?
had their own wars at that time. Sir, all the Hindu wars that happened in those days were not against Muslims. All the wars that happened in this country before independence
were between Islamists
Rajas.
Right in the beginning of Islam, whether in Karbala.
Let me tell you one more fact for your understanding.
And
now
it was the Hussaini Brahmins.
Give me just one moment.
It was the Indian soldiers who went all the way to Karbala to protect
give me a moment.
them.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, with the greatest of respect, Mr. Abdul Razak Khan, you are making a very, very facile comparison over here. A religious ideology or something that is, which is driven by a religious ideology cannot be compared to a territorial takeover.
No,
yes, you can go to war to take over territory, but if somebody is being killed simply because you do not think them fit to live, it's a very, very different ideology. Harshvardhan Tripathi is back with us.
Clear in Islam.
Harshvardhan Tripathi, there are plenty of reasonable Muslims who will today recognize that the radicals are giving you a bad name before anything else, and then you will have people who will try and justify it as a reaction to what is happening in Gaza. Is that the real problem that needs to be addressed? This constant justification, constant rationalization, because this is happening in Gaza, that's why these two people turned into radicals. I mean, play that image of this young man. The bigger question also is, how did he get arms training? First, he is self-radicalized, then he gets access to weapons, then he is able to handle weapons like a professional. Harshvardhan Tripathi.
पद्मजा, मुझे लगा कि शुरू में जब ये डिबेट तारिक ने शुरू की तो मुझे लगा कि शायद जो जिसको कहते हैं ना कि सेंस प्रिवेल कर रहा है, बेटर सेंस प्रिवेल कर रहा है, लेकिन उसके बाद इस डिबेट में जिस तरह से रेडिकल इस्लामिक टेररिज्म को कवर फायर देने की कोशिश की गई वो खतरनाक है। वो दुनिया के लिए खतरनाक है, भारत के लिए खतरनाक है, मुसलमानों के लिए खतरनाक है। और अगर गाजा में आज ये स्थिति हुई है तो उसके लिए सबसे बड़ा जिम्मेदार अगर कोई है तो वो हमास है। आप हमास से लेकर भारत के खिलाफ काम करने वाले टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस तक कवर फायर दे रहे हैं। जो कुछ ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बोंडाई बीच पर हुआ है, वो बाप बेटे पाकिस्तानी ओरिजिन के, पिता आता है यहां, बेटा तो यहीं पैदा हुआ और यहां शादी करके उसको सिटीजनशिप मिलती है, वो प्रोफेशनल शूटर हो जाता है। जो बचाने के लिए एक वहां अहमद अल फहद गए, अहमद अल शायद उनका नाम है, वो भी मुस्लिम है। लेकिन जरा आप सोचिए कि जो टीवी स्टूडियो में बैठे मुसलमान हैं, जिन मुसलमानों को बोलने में कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि कितने मुसलमानों की जिंदगियां जा रही, पहलगाम में धर्म पूछ कर मार, फिर बोंडाई बीच पर भी वही किया, वहां उनको यहूदियों को मारना था। और जिस न्यूजीलैंड की मॉस्क की बात कर रहे हैं तारिक, वो जानबूझकर पूरी, जिसको कहते हैं ना कि हाफ ट्रुथ बता रहे हैं। वो न्यूजीलैंड में 2019 की जो घटना थी, वो एक व्हाइट सुप्रीमेसिस्ट था जो पकड़ा गया, उसके साथ कोई और नहीं था, वो किसी टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से रिलेटेड नहीं था। लेकिन दुनिया में जितने रेडिकल इस्लामिक टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, यूएन डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नियरली 100% वो इस्लामिक है। और उसके बाद भी हम अगर ये बात नहीं कह पा रहे हैं, इसका मतलब हम ईमानदारी नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम बेईमानी कर रहे हैं। और अगर ये बेईमानी है तो ये बेईमानी दुनिया के लिए खतरनाक है, ये मुसलमानों के लिए खतरनाक है।
तारिक खान, हाफ ट्रूथ्स आर मोर डेंजरस फॉर यू।
कहते हैं संघ की वजह से होता है।
If that was white supremacy, then why that person goes to a mosque? That is a valid question, should be asked by yourself. आपको खुद अपने आप से ये पूछना चाहिए कि अगर वो white supremacy था तो वो कहीं भी इस तरीके के कत्लेआम मचा सकते थे, मॉस्क क्यों गए? इसका मतलब ये है कि देयर इज अ हिडन एजेंडा, रिलीजियस एंगल है वहां पर, यहां भी है, इसको कतई भी नजरअंदाज नहीं करना चाहिए। नाउ अभी वी ऑल हैव बीन टॉकिंग अबाउट उस टाइम की जो इस्लामिक वॉर्स थी, जिस तरीके से किया गया प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद के परिवार वालों को, ऑल द टाइम सिंस वी हैव दिस होल अर्थ, देयर इज अ फाइट बिटवीन गुड एंड बैड। अच्छे लोग और बुरे लोगों के बीच में फाइट है, वो चलती आई है, इस्लामिक टाइम में भी थी। सुन लीजिए सर, इस्लामिक टाइम में भी थी, और महाभारत जिन लोगों के बीच में हुआ उनमें वो भी थी। उसके बारे में बात करने का कोई मतलब
नहीं सर, एक सेकेंड, यू डोंट गेट टू डिसाइड हु आर द बैड पीपल, दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। हियर यू सिंगल आउट पीपल एंड लेबल देम बैड, not because they are bad, because they belong to a certain religion. How have you decided? Are you suggesting by making this comparison, Tariq Khan, that people who were killed in Bondi Beach were bad? You have just broad stroke decided to brand all of them bad and say they deserve to die because they're bad people. Mahabharata और इसका कोई comparison नहीं है sir, please. It's an extremely strange and stupid comparison. Mahabharata was a fight between good and bad. There was evil there which was being fought. Over here, innocent, unarmed civilians. These weren't combatants. Please do not make that comparison. You are making a very, very bad and dangerous mistake, Tariq Khan. Don't do it.
दे रही हैं कैसे? मैं बोलने नहीं दे रही हैं, मैं कैसे बोलूंगा? आप मुझे टाइम देंगी तब।
क्योंकि आप गलत कंपैरिजन कर रहे हैं। आप कैसे कह रहे हैं कि जो पहलगाम में हुआ that was a fight between good and bad? This is ridiculous. जो सिडनी में हुआ that was not a fight between good and bad. It was a fight between terrorists and innocents. Two men killed innocent people. They were doing nothing bad. ये कोई महाभारत नहीं चल रही थी वहां पे। वो लोग अपना फेस्टिवल मना रहे थे।
अभी जो मुझसे पहले बोल रहे थे, he said about that era कि प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद के इस टाइम से ही इस्लाम में तमाम बुराइयां थी। लोग अपने ही प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद के परिवार
I say it again clearly and categorically. Yes, right.
बिल्कुल the same thing I have said.
And after his demise, immediately Islam was hijacked. Tell me, मुझे ये बताइए, प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद की फैमिली मेंबर्स को चुन चुन के मारा गया, कहाँ थे उस वक्त? सिर्फ 72 लोग थे जो प्रॉफेट इमाम हुसैन के साथ थे, और सारे मुसलमान थे कहाँ पे? और आज भी बहुत छोटे से टाइनी नंबर ऑफ मुस्लिम्स आर विद द ट्रूथ, विद जस्टिस, एंड यू आर बेट्रेइंग द स्पिरिट ऑफ इस्लाम। मेजॉरिटी, आप बात कर रहे हैं कुरुक्षेत्र की, कुरुक्षेत्र में भी जो सच्चे लोग थे वो बहुत कम थे, करबला में भी सच्चे लोग 72 थे। हमेशा ये रहा है, हमेशा से सच के साथ बहुत कम लोग रहे हैं, हुसैनी कम रहे हैं, और ये इस्लाम का अलमिया है, ट्रेजेडी है। राइट इन द बिगिनिंग कि इस्लाम को हाईजैक कर दिया गया।
और जिन लोगों ने हाईजैक किया है सर, आप जैसे लोग उनको कवर दे रहे हैं, उनको एक तरीके से नॉर्मलाइज और रैशनलाइज कर रहे हैं। क्विक रिबटल फ्रॉम हर्षवर्धन जी, देन आई वांट टू गो अक्रॉस टू चारू प्रज्ञा एंड वैभव सिंह।
पद्मजा जी, असली मुश्किल यही है। तुरंत की घटना बताता हूं, बहुत पीछे नहीं जाएंगे। सीरिया में अभी ट्रंप के साथी हो गए जिनके ऊपर रिवॉर्ड रखा था, और मीटिंग में अमेरिकन ऑफिसर्स को गोली मार देता है। दुनिया भर में जहां जहां मुस्लिम कंट्रीज है वहां एक दूसरे के खिलाफ हथियार उठाकर खड़े हुए हैं। पाकिस्तान का एकमात्र एजेंडा यही कि अपने यहां टेररिस्ट पैदा करो और उनको दुनिया भर में एक्सपोर्ट कर दो। क्या कितने लोग निकल कर आए जब दिल्ली में लाल किले के सामने एक मुस्लिम डॉक्टर ने, जो आतंकवादी बन गया, उसने धमाका कर दिया? कितने लोग निकल कर आए? तारिक खान का या उनकी पार्टी का कोई बड़ा प्रदर्शन बता दीजिए। और गाजा में कुछ हो रहा है तो भारत की संसद तक में कैसे चलेगा भाई? सोनिया गांधी आर्टिकल लिख देती हैं, प्रियंका गांधी वाड्रा फिलिस्तीन का झोला लेकर चली आती है, कैसे होगा ये? और भारत में हर बात के लिए संघ है, क्या कह दिया, किसके ऊपर क्या हो गया, दोयम दर्जे के नागरिक हो गए, सेकंड क्लास सिटीजनशिप हो गई। कमाल है ये।
No, and the most worrying part is that we actually had at a time, Harshvardhan ji, when we had a young educated doctor talk on camera about how jihad should be done on the people of India. There were people who were explaining to us the innocent meaning of jihad. There were actual politicians, learned, educated politicians in our country who were saying jihad is not a bad word. It's actually a very good thing that should be practiced by all. This is the kind of wisdom and the kind of politics that is being practiced in our country, and which is why this should be a huge, huge wake-up call. It's happening in India, it's happening in the West. If Europe is waking up, it's high time we also smelt the coffee. Charu Pragya.
Thank you. Padmaja, what I was trying to say is that, one, because there's a lot of discussion about Gaza and Hamas. You know, Hamas started killing people across the border, but you want to put a limit as to how these people must be avenged by the country. Is that how it works? That you come home and you kill as many people as you like, but then we will only tell you how much of it you can avenge. It doesn't work like that. Hamas started the war. They're facing the consequences of the actions of the people they're still harboring within their territory. This is a fact. Nobody can deny this. Another thing is that I was talking about global terror, and I was talking about how diplomatically it gets denied time and time again, not just by Pakistan. So I'm not going to Pakistan at all, even though 90% of terror is directly or indirectly linked to Pakistan or Pakistani organizations or people. I am saying that when for so many years you've had ample proof. For example, even bin Laden was found hiding in Pakistan. US shot him down in Pakistan. In spite of that, there are most of the major countries who are voting for an IMF loan to Pakistan time and time again. Shouldn't we call them out as well? So when their country faces a terror attack, oh, it is terrible. But why isn't these countries calling them out for the kind of activities that has been harbored in Pakistan? If a terrorist dies even today, it is not just denial of the fact that they are harboring terrorist organizations. It is doctrine, because their army attends these funerals. It has become doctrine. And they were taken off the FATF grey list.
You know, frankly, so Charu, at this point, that Pakistan has terrorists is hardly news to anyone. At this point, the more worrying thing for me is if somebody sitting in Faridabad is getting radicalized, if somebody sitting in Sydney is getting radicalized, if an MBBS doctor, somebody who's a professional, Vaibhav Singh, and I again want to draw your attention to that one image. Today we have a situation where the Australian Prime Minister is saying everyone is under investigation. We are investigating the right wing also. We are investigating the Islamists also. We are investigating the left wing also. We are investigating the white supremacists also. And this they are doing at a time when you have a young man handling weapons in a manner that almost makes him seem like military. How did this man get trained in weapons like this? And how do we know we don't have more such people in Australia, in London, in Washington, and maybe in Faridabad?
Yes, I mean, what was SIMI? What was Indian Mujahideen? What were these organizations? What was PFI? I mean, India is...
and we had an AK-47 found in the locker of the doctor in Pahalgam as well.
In Pahalgam as well. And the caches of weapons in J&K, Padma, you have covered it extensively. You are well aware that caches of weapons, being randomly found all over J&K is no news for Indians and Indian security agencies and journalists who have covered that region. So, we have seen such caches being...
like this cannot be a regular person. He has to have had proper training, right?
Not at all.
You can't sit at home and watch YouTube videos and fire a weapon like
Yes, and this can't be trained in a weapons firing area or something like that. Some academy that West has got a lot of actively being operated there. He has been trained. He has been taught how to do it, and he has practiced it a lot. I mean, it will take hundreds of hours of practice to fire a weapon like this, and any army officer, any police officer who has done this training will let you know how much training does it take to handle a weapon like this. So India is, and you tell me, we had an extensive debate about terrorism has got nothing to do with religion, Islam, this and that. You tell me, when ISIS was formed, recruits were recruited from all across the world. Which country was spared? Name a country from where nobody went to, join Islamic State in Syria. From even India also. There were students, people who were professionals working in Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Hyderabad. They took a flight. They took illegal routes to reach there if there was no flight or there was no legal route. So, I mean, it is not an exception. Radicalization has always been part of, and Indian Mujahideen and Simi were part of our... What was JKLF? I mean, that JKLF was formed here in India by Pakistan, and how people joined it, and Indian Army had to launch an extensive operation for years to come to finish off JKLF. Then after that, multiple organizations were formed in India. So,
and the only binding factor between all of them,
is religion.
Was religion.
And let me tell you one more thing.
And by the way, that part of religion, which we had Dr. Dehelvi call out, which you are refusing to recognize, Abdul Razak Khan.
Just
last 30 seconds.
The people who defend, these people are more dangerous because, these terrorists can be dealt with. Our law enforcement agencies can deal with those people. But, the beginning of program, I said that these overground workers of Muslim Brotherhood who masquerade as journalists, social activists, politicians, this and that, these people are there who provide cover fire. They are far more dangerous. People who open the door from inside are far more dangerous than the people who attack from outside.
Abdul Razak Khan.
Ma'am, it is good you've been discussing what Musalmanon ne kya kiya, but I would like to say, please understand Musalmanon ke saath kya hua. Who created Taliban? For about 25 years, the whole world said Talibans are terrorists. Just because one invite by Modi ji to India, the external affairs minister comes to India, now nobody is calling Taliban a terrorist. How did they reform? When did they reform? Please understand.
Sir, London bombers के साथ क्या हुआ था? इन दो पिता पुत्र के साथ क्या हुआ था सिडनी में? कौन सा इनके ऊपर अत्याचार कर दिया एंथनी एल्बनीसी की सरकार ने?
देखे तो
ये हर वक्त आपको समझ में आना चाहिए कि हमारे साथ क्या हुआ था, क्या हुआ था
हिंदुस्तान में।
चलिए, हिंदुस्तान में बहुत ही अत्याचार हो रहे हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में क्या अत्याचार हो गए उनके ऊपर?
आप अत्याचार की बात कर रही है, मैं आपको समझाता हूं। हिंदुस्तान में जितने लोगों ने नक्सलिज्म को और माओइज्म को अपनी जान दी है, more than 18,000.
Abdul Razak Khan, I'm not even talking about India. I am asking you simply, the men who went and bombed the London Tube, they were British citizens. This father and son, they were Australian citizens.
Let me explain.
What did they have against Australia? The people they killed were Australians. The people who were killing were Australians. Why did they kill their fellow countrymen?
We are just taking the names. We are just taking their names and their origin. We never know what is the politics behind.
What is the politics?
I am trying to convey to you.
Since you are offering a defense for them, tell me what is their politics? What is their politics? If they are not driven by religious ideology, what are they driven by?
Netanyahu has been asked to.
Are they driven by anti-capitalist ideology?
Israel itself wants action against Benjamin Netanyahu for his corruption. Now the whole world has.
Who cares about Benjamin Netanyahu and his corruption? I am more worried about what is happening in my country if somebody is getting radicalized. What does it have to do with Benjamin Netanyahu?
they have to justify, ma'am. There is this lobby which is controlling the whole world, the Jewish lobby. They have to justify. Benjamin Netanyahu does not want to leave his seat. So something like this has to happen anywhere.
Are you sitting here and suggesting some grand conspiracy? Say it, no, Abdul Razak Khan. You are basically saying that this is some kind of, deep conspiracy which has been cracked by the Mossad. It's an inside job. All of this chatter that is happening. That, oh, why was this man Googled one day earlier in Tel Aviv? That's what you're trying to say, right?
Madam, Lebanese pagers can go off one day and a lot of people lose their lives. Lebanese pagers, जो pagers
like
use करते हैं ना, they go off one day.
Israel did.
Nobody knew how, but who's behind?
Conspiracy theory.
So we have to understand.
That is the problem. You will blame everyone, but the criminal. You started by blaming gun culture. Then you came down to हम पर कितना जुल्म हो रहा है. Now you're blaming the Mossad. The fact of the matter is, sir, that here are two men who were radicalized, who picked up the gun, who decided to kill Indian Hindus in Pahalgam, and they decided to kill Jews in Australia. You will not see them as criminals. You will always look for mitigating factors, and that is why, like we said, sometimes, and actually always, the apologists are more dangerous than the terrorists themselves. Think about that. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, Charu Pragya, for having joined me.